Hey y'all, Professor Parks, PhD here. I make content on astronomy, science skepticism, and mental health. And I am prompted to do this impromptu stream by this coffee that I have here is not sitting well with me. So we'll so yeah. Anyway, um, so I woke up this morning and howdy Ruhif. I woke up this morning and saw some folks had commented on my video, and one particular comment was in context. We are talking about a recent conversation ish that I've kind of had through video back and forth related to the concept of science skepticism. And I have been accused of referring to those folks that believe that the earth is flat as science deniers. I may have used that term in the past, but I make it a point not to, because I believe that I take it on their word for it that they simply do not believe the conventional science, that they are not denying that science exists or that science can say important things about the universe. They simply do not think that the current conventional science is accurate. To deny science is to deny the actual methodology and I guess concept of what science is, at least in my definition of things. Others can disagree. I know that friends of mine do disagree. They, to them, science denying is denying what conventional science has to say. I wouldn't go that far, because again, I am trusting them that when they tell me that they are seeking the truth. More on that in a second. But in this conversation of science skepticism, I got a comment, and I would bring it up specifically, but as the Irish would say, I couldn't be arsed. I think I got that right, Dr. Nimrod. So I'm going to paraphrase the comment. It says something to the effect of a science professor who displays their pronouns is denying science or what have you. Which is why I'm on live stream. One of the reasons why I'm on live stream or StreamYards is because I notice on OBS I don't think I actually have this little doobly-doo over here having my name and my pronouns, which is something that I routinely do. The other thing is I think OBS shit the bed and I'm going to have to reinstall it. And so I strongly object to that, as I think I mentioned to them, that they need to seriously see. I said can't be arsed, but on Discord, Nimrod said it was couldn't be arsed. So I don't know. You guys gotta have to get your have to get your sayings straight. Also, the general purpose, feck off. Sure, you know yourself. Yeah. So yeah, they claim that that if you acknowledge that there is in fact more than two genders, that you are in fact denying science in some way. Yeah, no. Let's do this. And what I had told this person in the comment was they needed to look into things like intersex and gender dysphoria. Let's do this, though. My lighting is a bit off because, yeah, for some reason StreamYard doesn't get my camera right. So, and again, I can't be arsed to actually fiddle with the lighting. So let's do this. All right. How about that? Now that, I guess that's good. So let's do some Googling. Let's do some high IQ research. I love doing my own research. Let's see. Hold on. That's that. There it is. You can see that I have already done this. How many biological sexes are there? Oh, look. Top result. Sex redefined. The idea of two sexes is overly simplistic from Scientific America. We got another one. Let's talk about biological sex. Sex refers to biological attributes that distinguish organisms of male, female, intersex, and hermaphrodite. But let's bring this one up because I actually read this one. So, actually, let me bring this over here so I can see it too. This is from 2018. Biologists now think there's a larger spectrum than just binary male and female. And so sex can be more complicated than at first it seems. According to the simple scenario, the presence or absence of a Y chromosome is what counts. With it, you are male. Without it, you are female. But doctors have long known that some people straddle the boundary, that their sex chromosomes say one thing and their gonads or sex anatomy say another. Parents of children with these kinds of conditions, known as intersex conditions or differences or disorders of sex development, DSDs, often face difficult decisions as to whether to bring up their child as a boy or a girl. Some researchers say that as many as 1 in 100 have some form of DSD. That, friends and neighbors, is what excuse me, again, not sitting well. That, friends and neighbors, is what the science is telling us. If you don't want to accept that science, that's fine. But don't claim that I'm a fucking science denier when that's the science. You might be asking yourself, Professor Parks, why does this matter? Why does it matter to actually have he, him on, to recognize pronouns? Well, first off, let me ask you this. Why does it fucking matter to you if I have my pronouns? I'm not hurting anybody. I rarely, if ever, even mention them. So why the fuck are people commenting? And this is not the first time that someone has commented on this, has mentioned that I have pronouns, as if that somehow negates what I have to say about the shape of the earth. So why the fuck does it matter to you? I can tell you why it matters to me. So let's go over here. Suicide rate in the U.S. Howdy, Clyde. Let's go to a suicide attempt rate. I think it's this one. Suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States, claiming the lives of 48,000 Americans. I cannot remember where I found it. It's somewhere in here. You'll have to kind of trust me on this one. CDC. But maybe it's this one. I think it's Centers of Disease Control. Where is it? Yeah, I can't seem to find it. But, again, you'll have to take my word for this. But among the general public, 0.4%, which corresponds to about 1 million some odd people, have attempted to kill themselves within their own lifetime. How about suicide rate among trans community? Oh, look. More than 40% of transgender adults in the U.S. have attempted suicide. So, funny enough, because of the bullshit surrounding this, the statistics on completed suicides is not known, because by simply looking at someone's, oh, this person has a dick, typically they're going to say, oh, this person's a dude. And so a coroner doesn't have that information by simply looking at the biological sense, because, let me tell you something. Biological sex and gender are two different concepts. Again, if you want to accept that, great. If you don't, great. But that is what the current science is telling us. So again, if you're thinking that I'm a science denier, and I've forgotten how to pronounce your name, dear, feck off. I would say that this is a you problem, but unfortunately you probably vote, which means it's an all of us problem in the United States. 40% of transgender adults have attempted to kill themselves. Why, you might ask? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because of people who deny one of the primary characteristics of their fucking identity. Could it be that? Oh, I don't know. Roisin, as Roisin would say, feck off. I don't know. Maybe it's because people trivialize the idea of being trans, saying such enlightened things as, oh, but what if I decide to call myself a woman? Doesn't that mean that I get to go and be pervy in a woman's bathroom or a locker room? Well, first off, I cannot think of a less sexy place than in a woman's bathroom or a locker room. Now, I'm not going to kink shame, but I got to tell you guys, a woman's shit stinks just as much as ours. And if you don't believe me, you can ask my ex-wife. So why you want to go in there anyway is beyond me. But what's stopping one from doing that? Let me see. The truth? People who are trans, that is their identity. They are of a different gender than their biological sex. You saying, I want to choose to be a woman or man or whatever, I get to choose my gender, is kind of the same fucking argument for homosexuality. Oh, I can choose to be gay. Fuck that. The captain salutes to what he salutes to. I didn't choose who the fuck I'm sexually attracted to, and I don't choose my dude coefficient. And yes, I do. I'm developing this thing called the dude coefficient. There's also the chick coefficient, which are basically inversely proportional to each other. You know, I have a certain dude coefficient. I haven't quantified this yet because it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek bullshit concept. But what I can say is there are those out there who have a larger dude coefficient than I am. People who think, yes, I am a fucking dude. I do this, who embrace their dudeness. And then there are others who don't really care that, okay, yeah, I'm a dude, whatever, and go about their lives. But then there are these people who do not think that they are a dude at all. That they think they are the opposite of being a dude. That they are, in fact, a chick. And then there are some that think, I am really a chick. I have high chickenness. I don't know. Again, some, don't worry about it. And I know this is fucking hard to believe, but there are those people who basically have a dude coefficient of 0, chick coefficient of 0. They don't identify as either. They just are. And that's the bottom line. To deny that is a thing is to deny someone's basic fucking identity, which might have something to do with the fact that the suicide rate amongst transgender adults is 100 times the general fucking population. And what's something I learned by doing this, so thank you for this, is that apparently non-binary people have the worst of it. The suicide rate among non-binary people is actually greater than the suicide rate among transgender men or transgender women. Howdy, Judy. You've walked into one of my rants. So, sorry? Take that or leave it. So, yeah. This is from an article, Prevalence of Substance Abuse and Mental Health Problems Among Transgender and Cisgender U.S. Adults, results from a national probability sample. So, yeah. This is why I think it's fucking important. People are dying over this. They are literally fucking dying over this. That is why I have that on my name, because it is a reminder to those people. For those of you who are not a part of the trans community, this isn't for you. This is for them. To let them know I know that they exist. To let them know I acknowledge their fucking identity. That they don't have to hide anything from me. They are not judged by me. That they are valid. That is why I have it there. I am not fucking denying science. Those who say that I am denying science by having that there can feck off. Actually, you can keep fecking off. No, you can fuck off. You can keep fucking off until you get to the wall of fuck off. And because I have faith in you, scale that fucking wall and keep fucking off. This is some bullshit, and I'm not going to fucking tolerate it. And if that means that you have to unsubscribe from my channel, don't let the door hit where the good Lord split you. Bye. Fuck off. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of constantly having that brought up because I engage with people who think the fucking earth is flat. Oh, and by the way, if you have a problem with that, congrats. You are being a bigot. And yes, I've harped on the fact that the flat earth, the science skepticism community is full of bigots. Why? How? Why, Professor Parks? Why would you have that impression? Oh, I don't know. When people come onto my channel, or come onto my live stream, they often, well, not often, but they will, it's certainly not a non-zero chance, that they will say that that thing that killed 6 million people in the 40s didn't happen. What the fuck that has to do with the shape of the earth, I have no fucking idea. But they feel the necessity to tell me about it. So, yeah. And if you want to ignore the fact, I made a video saying, hey, social media. This wasn't even addressed to science skeptics. This is addressed to social media that said, hey, you may want to police social media for homophobic and transphobic comments on top of anti-Semitic comments because, they're both evil. They both preach hate. They both marginalize folks. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Apparently that drove someone to make a drunken video about that. And then someone else decided to defend them and say, oh no, they're not being homophobic. They have no problem with gays. Well, if they got no problem with gays, then why the fuck did they make the video in the first place? Because it sure as shit seems to me that they have a fucking problem with homosexuals. Oh, this video is never going to get monetized, but I don't give a fuck. So, yeah. There is bigotry within the science skeptic community. Open bigotry among the science skeptic community. Not to say that there's not bigotry within the globe community or those who follow conventional science. But it sure as shit ain't as open as I've seen it in the science skeptic community. And so, if you don't want to deal with that, if you don't want to accept that, fine. You do you. Go nuts for those cronuts. Turn a blind eye to it. But I question why. Why you want to turn a blind eye. Why you do not want to acknowledge something that is fucking obvious. Now you might say it's not in my community, not in my spaces. Well, I don't know what spaces you happen to reside in, but the spaces that I reside in, which are fairly random, it's not like I think to myself, hey, those fuckers, they look like bigots. I want to hang out with them. No, I just go to any flat earth Discord that I have access to, that someone has invited me to, or I see a invitation for. And there it is. It's all over the fucking place. I mean, shit. Again, Shane St. Pierre made a fucking music video, Space is Gay, with such original lyrics as Space is Gay. Space is Gay. And, oh yes, let's not forget the classic, Space is Gay. Why bring that up? Why make that connection? Why say that space is gay? What the fuck does that have to do with the shape of the fucking earth? Unless you think that being gay is evil, and you are attempting to place that evil association with NASA and those who profess the existence of space. Because if not, I see no any reason why you would do that. So, I don't know. So yeah, that's my rant on pronouns. That's why I have that in my name, is because I give a fuck about people who want to off themselves, because I kind of know what that feels like, and I never want anyone to feel that way. And I follow the science, which tells us that gender and biological sex are separate concepts, and they are far more complicated than we had originally thought back 20 years ago. And I personally think the science on this is not settled. I personally think that because of bullshit societal constraints, we haven't allowed ourselves to fully study the concept of gender without constraint, without bias. We have not taken an objective look, scientific look, at what it means to identify as a certain gender. Because again, going back to my dudeness, I made a short about this. If you ask me, Define what it means to be a man. I could not give you an answer. I have no fucking idea what it means to be a man. I know what society tells me that to be a man, what it is to be a man. But for me, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's one of these things that I just, howdy Al. One of these things that I just am. That's how I see myself. That's part of my identity. So it's as if, again, it's as if you think that this is a fucking choice. It's not. Anyway, let's talk about truth seeking. So, this is another comment that I have. So if you're a fan of this channel, or at this point, not a fan of this channel, you know why I'm in this. I have stated multiple times why I engage with science skepticism, specifically with flat Earth. I don't give a shit about evidence about flat Earth. If I wanted that, I'd go to other channels. I would watch, I do watch MC Toon, I would watch, I Get Science That. Fuck, I could just watch other flat Earth content. Flatzoid. Who's left? Flatzoid, Level Earth Observer, Eddie Banjo, whatever his name is, Flat Earth Banjo, Jaren. I would watch their content because they provide that free of charge. I'm not interested in that shit. I'm not interested in bunking that shit. I leave that to better creators than I, like Dave McKeegan. I hope I got your name right. He does a fantastic job at doing it. Ollie, whose last name starts with an H and I am going to butcher, so I'm not going to even try. Also does a fantastic job of science it out. I can science that. These creators actually get into the nitty gritty of creating models of what Flat Earth has to say in terms of their prediction, and then testing those models as a good scientist does. I can't be bothered, honestly, to put that much effort into it. For good or bad, whatever. Oh, Ruhif. Sorry, Ruhif. You do also an excellent job. Yes. Yeah. So now I feel bad. So yeah, subscribe to Ruhif. So yeah, I better or for worse, I can't be bothered with that because that's not the question that I find to be most fascinating. What I find to be most fascinating is why someone believes the Earth is flat. Specifically, why, and it's beyond that. It's a larger concept, is why someone does not accept conventional science. That the Earth is a globe, that the universe is estimated to be 13.7 billion years old, that it's estimated to be around 93 billion light years across, that the universe is constantly accelerating, that there may in fact be this thing called dark energy, and there may in fact be this thing called dark matter, which may be things that are beyond, that are currently outside of our current realm of understanding. What I'm trying to say is that dark matter may in fact be some kind of exotic particle that we've never seen before. Why do they reject this? Why are they skeptical of this? I'm not saying denying. I'm saying they're skeptical of it. They don't accept it. I think that's a crucial distinction, which I attempt to make every time. That's what I'm interested in. It's why. And I ask every flat earther I come across. Dark matter is etherically displaced. Yeah. Yeah, I ask every single one of my of the flat earthers that I have any kind of contact with. Why? Do you think we're lying? Do you think we're delusional? Do you think we're just wrong? Now, for those, I rarely get a straight answer about this. The answer that I most respect is the ones that say, I have no idea. I have no idea why these things are wrong or why conventional science says what it does, but my own experience tells me that the Earth is a flat, motionless plane. Ignorance, I have respect for, particularly if it's acknowledged. There is nothing wrong with ignorance. Ignorance is different than stupidity. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge. Stupidity is the inability to process knowledge. Two wildly different things. It is perfectly okay. Well, it's perfectly okay to be stupid. But I don't know how much of a conversation we can actually have. Morning, Ian. I will be there for my rant will end well before summer camp starts. Oh, by the way, I'm indoctrinating the youth. I'll just flat out say it. I'm of course joking, but according to science skeptics, I am indoctrinating the youth because I am the program manager of a summer camp with 8 to 15-year-olds that is space themed. We tell them about science. We walk them through the solar system, a scaled version of the solar system. We talk about launching to the moon. We use KSP to do that, Kerbal Space Program to do that. We talk about rocketry. We talk about the terrain on Mars. We do all that shit. If you have a problem with that, yeah. And if you want to judge me for that, go nuts. Go nuts for those cronuts. I don't give a fuck about that. But again, let's get back to truth seeking. When I ask people about it, they don't really give me a great answer. The only person who actually has given me, no, there are 2 people who have given me answers to this that I find to be enlightening, that I appreciate. One of them more unhinged than the other. But effectively, the unhinged one is Iggy. I will freely just state that. If you want a masterclass in batshit crazy, find my conversation with Iggy. I think it's the first one. I have 2. I can't remember which one. Morning, anytime. Howdy, Nimrod. I'm better today. I haven't been very good over the last week, but thank you for asking. I hope things turn around for you, and things get to be the best. So yeah, Iggy believes that essentially the Illuminati is real, that there is in fact a global cabal. There is a global cabal that is disseminating the narrative. He couldn't really give me specifics on how it's disseminated, but he sure as shit gave me some answer as to who is they. Apparently it's the Illuminati and the Freemasons. Okay, great. Whatever. The answer that befuddles the living shit out of me is it doesn't matter. I don't see how it can't matter. Howdy, Judy. Thank you for being a new member. Thank you. Appreciate that. I thought you were already a member. I don't know. Oh yeah, I got memberships because, this video is sure shit not going to get monetized. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just strike it. Roshin, you have unlimited hugs? Fuck, I really need to update my passport. Chara. When I see that, that's the Center for High Angular Resolution Astronomy. But how can you hate hugs? Hugs are fantastic. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So flat earthers are now adopting the name Truth Seeker. Okay. Don't really have a problem with that per se. Among science skeptics, I have honestly only met one person that I would actually give that label, and I'll mention her in a sec. But the idea that if you claim to be a truth seeker, and when I ask you, who is they, why is they, and how is they, and you tell me it does not matter, then I cannot take it seriously that you are legitimately trying to seek truth. If you say, I don't know, that's one thing. If you say it's impossible to know, or very, very difficult to know beyond the scope of my own skills to find out, it's fine. I would hope that you would have some inkling as to who it is. And because this is the really bad analogy I came up with. Imagine you have a house. You live in a house. And it got burnt to the ground. And you go to your friends and neighbors and say, hey, my house got burnt down. And they say, you never lived in a house. Of course I did. You can see, there's evidence right there. House. They're like, no, that's not evidence of a house. That's evidence of an apartment building. You lived in an apartment building. No, I lived in a house and it got burnt down. Yes, of course, I would have the conversation of why I lived in a house and try to present evidence of why I actually lived in a house. But eventually, probably in first order, is I would want to know who the fuck burnt my house down and why. I think that's a natural thing to want to know. If indeed the Earth is flat, if indeed space does not exist, planets are not what we think they are, that is the largest fraud perpetuated on the human race that I could ever think of. And to say it doesn't matter who perpetuates that fraud and how is beyond my own comprehension. I cannot, for the life of me, rectify someone who states that they are seeking the truth and does not care, or even worse, says that it does not matter who is responsible for it. Because to me, what that tells me is that you're not interested in the truth. You're interested in telling people what to believe. That you're interested in telling people that you have special knowledge and that people should accept your special knowledge over the knowledge of conventional science. You're not seeking the truth. You're seeking control. You're seeking the validation and admiration of people. That is my current working hypothesis as to those people who would claim they don't give a shit about the org chart of the Illuminati. So I challenge, I challenge any flat earther, any science skeptic, flat earth, geocentrist, whatever. If you're still watching this video after my tirade before, thanks. I probably wouldn't have gone through it. But if you're still here, I very much would like to have that conversation. And I would very much like to know why. I would like to know why you believe, or who's behind it all and how. As a member of academia, I have some experience in what academia is like. And I'm very puzzled as to how or how any kind of narrative is being pushed. I have been accused many times of basically regurgitating. Roisin does have a massive cock. I have to say her cock is very impressive. I would love to have that conversation. And trust me, I will not be as heated as I was at the beginning. Again, I think if you look at the conversations that I've had in the past, they have, for the vast majority of them, been cordial. The only two exceptions that I can think of was a conversation I had with Dan the Waterman at the very end of a 4-hour conversation. He was doing something that was really irritating, and I got heated. And then I think I got heated with Iggy, who, by the way, disproved the Pythagorean theorem. I think he and Terrence Howard really need to have a conversation. That I would pay real money to watch. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Those are the kinds of questions that I am interested in, is who, how, and why. Who are the people behind the global eye? How do they propagate this? And why do they propagate it? Because again, to finish the thought about academia, I've been accused of simply regurgitating a narrative that has been fed to me. And again, if you tell me that, what I'm hearing is, tell me you have no idea how academia actually works, without telling me that you have no idea how academia actually works. Is, yes, I take classes where they tell me information. And not just that. They tell me how to arrive at my own information. Homework assignments are not just simply regurgitation. Many homework assignments, particularly once you get into the higher levels, are derivations. They're saying, given what you know, given what you have learned in this class, tell me something new. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but, for example, if you have this data about a binary star system, which in fact is not Earth or Mars and the Sun, if you have this data about a binary star system, tell me what the orbital parameters are. That sort of thing. Derivations, actually working with the science, working with the information. And howdy, Eric. Yeah, if you watch the beginning, there was a comment recently that that I read this morning that kind of triggered me. So I kind of needed to rant. Meraki, howdy. I've been accused of lying about Witsit and being a prophet of God. I need to post that. Eric, speaking of which, actually sent me a video where where Witsit explicitly states this. So I think that should be put out there for general for my 600 and some odd followers, or subs or whatever it is. I think it's important for that information to become more widely known. Anyway, so yeah, I don't simply regurgitate. because that's not what academia does at the higher levels. They expect you to be able to actually use the knowledge to come up with something new. And then, once you get down to the PhD level, as I've stated before, you have no classes. There is no regurgitation. You develop a project and you run with it and you find something new. If you are quite literally regurgitating something that we already know, they will not give you a PhD. You also have to explain why the fuck anyone should care. I remember specifically, I was a grad student at the University of Florida, and there was another PhD candidate. And he got all the way to his defense, and I have no idea how this actually occurred, because this is a serious failing on his advisor's part, is that he got to his PhD defense, which was about, and the work was about high altitude asteroids, basically asteroids that are at a very high inclination relative to the ecliptic plane. Eric, that video somewhere in Discord, you sent it somewhere into me. It was basically at the end of one of his live streams. But anyway, getting back to this dude, he basically was searching for high altitude or high latitude asteroids, asteroids that were, like I said, at high inclinations above the ecliptic plane, which is weird. There are not a lot of them, as far as I'm aware. But they asked him a fairly simple question. Why should we care? What is the physical rationale for why this is important in the context of astronomy? He could not answer that question. And because he could not answer that question, they did not give him a PhD, at least not at that time. They effectively, what he had to do, and I actually left Florida shortly after this happened, so I don't actually know what happened to him, but I surmise that he had to go back and actually develop a rationale for why you should care about high altitude asteroids. This is back in the mid-90s, so planetary migration, planetary scattering, that wasn't very well widely known, but I would think that the reason why they are high-altitude asteroids is because of planet-planet scattering or planet-asteroid scattering, something like that. But the fact that he could not answer that question, he didn't get a PhD. So it's not about regurgitation. It's about doing something new. It's about doing something novel. And in some cases, it's about doing something first. For example, one of the, Sam Quinn, one of the people that I was in my research group on exoplanets, one of the things he did was he was the first person that I'm aware of to find exoplanets in a metal-rich cluster. No one had found them before. But they were thought to, it makes sense for them to be around stars that have a higher percentage of metals or heavy elements, because that's basically what planets are made out of. But for reasons, no one had actually found them yet. So that's what he did. He went out, he found them. Great guy, great researcher. Last I heard, he's working for the CFA, Center for Astrophysics in Harvard, although I'm pretty sure he's moved on by then. What's it? The creator's leading me to kind of step it up a notch. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to hear what that conversation was like. Anyway, so that's not how academia works. It's this idea that we are given a narrative and told to go forth and spread our narrative to the four corners of the flat Earth is wrong. That's not how it works. And so what I want to know is, if that is indeed how it works, what am I missing? And I am open to that question, but not so open that my brain falls out. You actually have to give me a scenario that I can then relate to my own experience and see if that actually jibes. So, for example, I don't know. We astronomers have this, there's the American Astronomical Society, and they have biennial meetings, one in the summer, one in the winter. The winter one, there are tens of thousands of us, from grad students and actually some undergrads, all the way up to career astronomers who have made their bones in things. We get together, we talk, we drink, we have a good time, and we disseminate the research that we're doing. So if you can tell me a scenario where behind the scenes, the president of the president of the astronom or of the AAS somehow manipulates the conference proceedings so that only speakers who are giving talks in support of a narrative are allowed to give those talks. Only those people presenting posters that are in support of the current narrative are given slots. Then, that's a conversation I would really love to have. Because if memory serves, you don't have to justify presenting a poster. You give them the title, you give them the abstract. Bing bang boom. They don't review it. They don't say, well, no, you can't present that poster. Fuck, I was part of a poster where we had the Astronomical Society of the South, the ASS, where we studied gaseous phenomenon using the super huge interferometric telescope. That was a poster at the AAS until, admittedly, someone who has no sense of humor whatsoever decided to rip it down. So, yeah, Ruhu, if we're using the shit telescope or the shit array to study black holes, Uranus, shit like that, you only have to justify being white, male, and heterosexual. Not sure where that's coming from. Although it is interesting that you assume that I'm a heterosexual. I am, but it's actually a bit more complicated than that. I am a fucking unicorn. I got a pillow that says it. So yeah, if you can give me some kind of scenario where that narrative is being pushed at conferences using the infrastructure that I know exists, I would love to have that conversation. But if you're just going to say that it's regurgitation or that, the followers of Cathol are the ones behind it all because, they founded the institutions of higher education and Lemaitre happened to be a Catholic priest, it's really not much there. I can tell you, for example, my own experience. I used to work at Emory University. Emory was founded as a Methodist college. It ain't Methodist anymore. There was no sign to me other than the chapel that is currently on campus. There is no evidence to me that Methodist teachings or Methodist ideology has been incorporated into the curriculum at all. So just because a university or a institute of higher learning was founded by a particular organization does not mean that it still is, that it is dominated by that organization or even really associated with that organization to any significant degree. I mean, fuck, Emory has a very good relationship with the Dalai Lama. We have an exchange program with the monks, in that monks come over here to learn about physics, and we go over there, or they now go over there to Tibet to teach them about physics. One of my biggest regrets at Emory was that I never was able to, for reasons, I was never able to participate in that program. Very good friend of mine was lucky enough to do it, and I got to tell you, if you want a really radical, or if you want to really challenge your method of thinking, then talk to a Buddhist monk, because their concepts of how cosmology works, their concepts of basically how things work, is, I won't say it's wrong, but it's compelling, because they have justification for why the best one was, I had a conversation with one of the monks about the nature of color. That color was an intrinsic part of an object. It was inherent. It was so, and not that, it reflects some wavelengths and, absorbs some. No, that color was a specific thing, like length, like depth, was a specific thing, a specific characteristic of a object that could be changed. Very much like length. You cut it in half, you've changed the length. You take a shirt, you stick it with a certain dye, you stick it in water, dye comes off, shirt changes color. It really challenges the way that one can perceive the world, and it was awesome to. Hey, you don't need to apologize for plugging Zurzu. I don't know who that is, but okay, I trust you. That works for me. Maybe I will definitely. I will definitely check out his song about, or their song about, what's its word salad. So yeah. And for those of you who think that diversity isn't important, again, try talking to people who do not have the same lived experience as you do, and see what happens, and see how they look at things. I will bet you that they see things that you take for granted in a completely different way. It's kind of like getting out of your echo chamber. So that's why diversity is important, or why I feel diversity is important, because you need a plurality of thought. It doesn't matter to me, to first order, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what who you like to have sex with. These things don't matter to first order. All that matters is that you bring a way of thinking that is different from the other folks that are in that group. Now, to second order, they matter quite a bit, because they are going to shape your lived experience, which then leads to that plurality of thought. So when we talk about diversity, it's not because, hey, we just need more black people or we need more queer people. No, is we need plurality. We need different ways of thinking, not just different knowledge, but different modes and different methodologies behind how one views things, how one comes to the conclusions that they do. That is vital for any kind of understanding, scientific or otherwise, particularly if you're moving into unfamiliar territory. So it's not about these, like I said, it's not about the color. It's not about the individuals the individuals themselves. It's about their lived experience and what they can bring to the table. But again, going back to truth seeking, like I said, I've only met one person who I think actually fits that bill. Sorry, STST, speak truth, seek truth, seek truth, speak truth. Uh, I don't know you really at all. I don't know what your journey is specifically, so you may fall into this, but again, I don't have experience. I don't know. I did not see your evolution from flat Earth to not flat Earth. Neither did I see Randy's, really, all that much. The person I'm speaking, of course, is Rachie. Rachie was a flat earther. She questioned the conventional science. The answer that she gave when I repeatedly tried to pin her down as to why she rejected conventional science was that it did not fit her worldview. She just did not feel. And again, Rachie, if you watch this, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mean to put words in your mouth or try to describe your experience, but my impression is that she just did not feel comfortable with the idea that the universe was made up of curved space-time. But she sought truth. She put forward ideas. She first looked at, say, density disequilibrium. She looked at the consequences of density disequilibrium, which I thought was, I don't know, almost unique within the flat Earth community. She says, all right, if density disequilibrium is a thing, then that means this. That has a certain implication as to other things, and she explored those. She went into the equations. She actually did the math to a certain level. She got a lot of shit from a lot of people in varying levels of civility. From myself, from I Can Science That, Professor Phil Bell was definitely a regular in her comment section. And then little by little, and then she moved on to things like talking about what is gravity? What is gravity? Is gravity a force? That conversation really was influential to me because it made me look at what a force actually is. What gravity? How do we best describe gravity? That was something I took for granted, and that led me down the path of I'm looking at my own content, looking at the stuff that I'm supposed to be regurgitating and to the public is, when we talk about the beginning of the universe, we talk about 4 fundamental forces, gravity being one of them. But in that context, the standard model, forces are communicated by carrier particles. Relativity tells us that's not actually the case. And so how is it that in one side of my mouth, I'm talking about curved space-time, particularly in how we deal with the end of the universe, how we deal with cosmology, but the beginning of the universe, I'm supposed to say that gravity is in fact a force, which is not what relativity says it is. So yeah, STST I think is a very good person. I just don't know them very well, and like I said, I don't know what their story is. I only know I'm only aware of Rachie's, and so but anyway, she went into that, and like that was very very interesting to me, and that's another reason why I'm in this sort of debate, because it challenges me to really look at these things within science that I have taken for granted. It has made me reevaluate, or not reevaluate rather, but look deeper into what conventional science has to say about gravity, what it has to say about Coriolis effects, orbital dynamics, things of that nature. Like, I have Witsit and Allen to thank for pointing me in the direction of relational mechanics, of Mach's work. I really haven't looked into it as much as I would like, but I have looked into it. It seems pretty interesting. It also seems fairly compelling, but I know that it has been rejected by conventional science. I don't know exactly why. I don't know what the actual problems are with it, which is what I would like to look um, into very much. Your Ruif says he's pretty close to Ranty. He basically got out once he took a break from the cult. Um, yeah, yeah, I can see that. I don't. Again, I don't know what it was that I think there was one particular. Was it the Blackpool Tower image that he could not rectify with flat Earth geometry? And that was what finally kind of broke his, which in that case, if I remember correctly, then yes, to me that would be a truth seeker, because if someone who is seeking truth is looking for, would reject something where the evidence states otherwise. Blackpool, yeah. But yeah, so Rachel looked into this. She looked into that, and then slowly but surely, she started to acknowledge that the evidence of the globe seemed to make sense, and she began to acknowledge that certain elements of the flat Earth didn't. And then now she is, full-on glober, whatever the hell that means. The main difference with Rachel, rather than simply criticizing, mocking, accept the theory, she relentlessly asks probing questions. Yes, I agree with that, Meraki, is that Rachel, unlike many flat earthers, almost all flat earthers that I'm aware of, science skeptics that I'm aware of, is they ask questions. Again, with truth seeking, it's part of the term seeking. It's not truth accepting. Which seems to be the vast majority of people who seem to have that term, is that they seem to claim that they know the truth, and they are just propagating that out to the masses, expecting people to regurgitate it back to them, which is ironic. A seeker asks questions like, yeah, apologize many times to Rachel. I think I might have to do that at some point. But, so, yeah, a truth seeker seeks, asks questions, looks for answers. I've never really seen a flat earther do that. One of the things that I would love a flat earther to... Now that I think about it just slightly, I would say that Alan... I don't think of this as Toby in this regard, but Alan certainly is. Alan does ask questions. I don't think he asks the right questions, but he does ask questions. He does ask for what the implications. So if the ether exists, he basically, as far as I'm aware, he states that the ether exists. So if the ether exists, then what are the consequences? How does that fit within observations? That would be nice. Let's send Rachel to Antarctica. But a truth seeker asks these questions, and like I said, Alan, I think would be I would accept him saying that question, or given that title, because he is looking into this. Witsit, not so much, because Witsit has frequently stated that many of the things that he puts forward, he doesn't believe in, such as that the Earth is... So with the Aether conversation, particularly Michelson, Morley, and the rest, those folks believe that the Earth was a sphere and that space is a thing. He doesn't believe that. He's using these types of alternative explanations simply to punch holes in the current of in conventional science. He, he doesn't have the strength of his own convictions. He's just using them as a weapon to refute conventional science. There is no, he's not attempting to replace it with anything. He's just simply trying to prove something wrong or illustrate that it is wrong, which to me is not truth seeking. Again, to me that is a form of trying to instill your will over others. Basically stating, I have special knowledge, you should listen to me because I have special knowledge. The knowledge that you have been given is wrong, and here's why. But whatever. Witsit brought up the WMAP axis of evil the other day, despite it being a map in all directions. I think I need to do a very more specific. The axis of evil, as far as I know, that is no longer a problem. What was at issue was that there was there is a lot of data in the CMB. And honestly, the analysis starts to stretch my understanding of things. But the way that I understand it is that not all of that data was being analyzed. They were only analyzing the easier stuff. Basically, how the polarization of the map propagated in a radial way. When they took voricity into account, when they actually added in how the polarity actually changes as a function of angle, then they found that discrepancy wasn't there anymore. That alignment wasn't there anymore. So effectively, the problem with the axis of evil, if you want to call it that, is that the data analysis was incomplete. That people were not taking into account all of the data because it was difficult to do so. I don't know if it was because the math was hard or I'm sure it is to at least a lot of people, or if it was just computationally expensive. I don't know. But a lot of people, you're using similar types of analyses, similar type analysis in the fact that they were looking only at a subsection of the WMAP data, the Planck data, the Kobe data, and ignoring the other half. Once you incorporate an analysis that incorporates all of the data that is there, axis of evil goes away. So, and also I'd love to have it, even if the axis of evil were a thing, there's no explanation as to why it's only in 2 modes as opposed to all of the other modes. So, yeah, it doesn't say what they wanted to say. It's a peculiarity. It's not solid evidence to suggest that there is a correlation between the plane of the solar system and the anisotropy of the universe. It just isn't. The data itself is inconclusive. So, yeah. Anyway, truth seeking. So, yeah. An old friend of mine wrote the Axis of Evil paper. Oh, very nice. I'm assuming one of the original ones. Yeah, Ritz reads one thing and then runs with it. And I think that he only reads portion of it. One of the things that I noticed that I've mentioned before is that he has put up a list of publications that I believe he claims are pro-Aether. And he lists one, and so I just happened to pick one at random by Dirac because, I love me some Dirac. Who doesn't? And yeah, the paper has barely anything to say about Aether at all, and it certainly wasn't pro-Aether. So I don't know why it was on his list. I don't know where he got the list. Howdy, Steaming. A couple reasons. Haven't seen you in a while. Um, Mainly because I think you're in, 12 hours off me, and I usually uh, don't stream at this hour. So, but yeah, going back to just to kind of finish off my thought about, or finish off my rant about truth seeking, is that if you truly consider yourself to be a truth seeker, then you need to ask questions. You need to, flat Earth, the various models that I've heard of the flat Earth have implications. There are questions to be asked, such as how old is the flat Earth? How, what evidence is there to support that assertion? Because radiometric dating tells us that the Earth is at least 4.5 billion years old. Some portions are younger. Geologists have an explanation as to why the certain areas of the Earth are younger than other areas of the Earth. This is tied to volcanism, plate tectonics, that sort of thing. But there are areas that are consistent with meteorites, meteorite radiometric dating, that is 4.5 billion years. Then you get to, and if you don't like that because of reasons, you got carbon dating that states that that we have organic material that is tens or 10,000 years old. So is the flat Earth that old? So those are the questions, and the one that really, because again, this is something that I personally am invested in, is how something came into existence. How did the flat Earth come into existence? I think I asked that of Flatzoid, and he basically told me it doesn't matter. Which again, I don't know if he considers himself a truth seeker, but I would think that matters. How did the flat Earth come into existence? Does it evolve over time? Has it changed over time? Did the flat Earth look different? Has the ice wall always been there? What is the dome made out of? Fuck, how high is the dome? These types of questions. And it doesn't seem as if anyone's making any headway or really asking these questions in any rigorous way. And I know people don't have the money, whatever. I don't buy that, because astronomy started out with, shit, I just found out about an Indian astronomer who used bamboo and sticks to determine at the time, a very precise record of planetary positions. It doesn't take a lot. It's bamboo and sticks. I'm not talking about a super huge interferometric telescope. There are ways of exploring these things that don't cost a whole lot. Granted, I've got a little instrument over there, the C-Star, that I'm using to investigate the sun. Yes, it cost me around $600, but I got help to purchase it, and yeah, to certain people, $600 is not a negligible sum. I got help with it, and I purchased it. I can't see why Flat Earth can't do the same. Crowdsource. Instead of using P900s or whatever, get together and crowdsource the purchase of a Celestron Nexstar 8. Actually take and get a ZWO planetary imager. Those planetary cameras are, I don't know, the least expensive ones are in the couple $100 range. Again, for some, not a negligible expense, but again, I don't think it's an expense that is beyond the pale. That is not that is insurmountable if you get enough truth seekers together who want to actually explore, the truth. So the lack of questioning is startling to me among those who claim to be truth seekers. Yes, Clive, they did fund a ring laser gyroscope. Thanks, Bob. So these things have happened. And to Bob's credit, Bob Nodel's credit, and people around him, they asked questions. Jaron, for as many things that I disagree with him on vehemently, he at least goes out and attempts to do experiments. I think his experiments are flawed. Ollie has attempted to help him with some of these experiments, and Jaron basically just ignored him, or tried to reason his way out of it, out of what the evidence is actually telling him. So, yeah, Judy, do your own research. Of course not. So yeah, the absolute lack of actually questioning, doing, is striking to me. Which is why I do not like the term truth seeker. Is till you actually start trying to seek truth, then I don't think it's an appropriate label. And a truth seeker is never going to say that a certain question is irrelevant, that a certain question does not matter. If it leads to a truth, then it matters. Particularly if the question involves the obfuscation of truth to the masses. Wow, I just did a Trumpism. Oh, God, I feel like I need to take a shower. I do need to take a shower, but that made me want to take one more. Flat earthers are afraid of the truth. Again, I don't want to presume to have judgments about that. But I do find it striking that there aren't any. Now, this may have changed, but to my knowledge, there still isn't a flat earther who's willing to take up Duffy's free ticket to the flat Earth or to Antarctica. And I'm thinking, can I become a flat earther for like a month and then take him up on it? Can I choose to be a flat earther for a month just so that I could get that ticket? So why is it that they do not jump at this opportunity? I haven't really heard any compelling arguments for it, but I did hear, basically secondhand through Jaron, or watching one of Jaron's streams, that there are in fact people who think that the flat Earth, that the Globers are going to kill the flat Earthers that go, or somehow psy-op them into telling, confirming the globe narrative. Like, really? We're that evil? Okay. I suppose that is a rationale, but I don't think it's an evidence. As far as I know, Will Duffy hasn't killed anybody. I don't know who else is. Oh, who's the Glober that got the golden ticket? Christ. I've seen him on Toon's stream quite a bit. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Of the people that I've heard are going to Antarctica, I've never heard of any of them being accused of killing anybody. And I think that's actually kind of a douchey thing to just throw out there, that we're going to kill any flat earthers that go. So, yeah. Dave McKeegan? I didn't think it was Dave McKeegan. I thought it was another creator. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I don't think Dave McKeegan's going to kill anybody. I'm pretty sure he's not going to sick that dog on anyone. Cute dog. Love that dog. So when we're thinking about, and I need coffee, so then I know this is going to not sit well, but screw it. Um, oh, Jaren is going. Excellent, excellent. I hope that Jaren is actually will actually go, and will be open minded about it. Pretty sure he won't get killed. Um, but I think it's a natural conclusion to make that if you don't want to go, if you refuse to go down there, then yeah, you are afraid of what you might find down there. You are afraid of actually seeing the 24-hour sun, which cannot be justified on the flat Earth. Although I've heard now that there are a few people who are trying to uh, come up with some topsy-turvy way of actually making a 24-hour sun in Antarctica work. Oh, Jaren got the win. Okay. Well, I'm hoping he goes. Um, yeah, they're basically attacking Will Duffy's character and talking about how Antarctica is inherently dangerous, um, which, oddly enough, kind of goes to one of the points that can't go to Antarctica. That's, they won't let you go to Antarctica. No, they'll let you go, but there are hoops you have to go through because it is inherently dangerous. They're not going to let someone just walk to the South Pole because, yeah, chances are if you're not prepared to do that, if you're not proficient in the ways to survive that trip, you is going to die. And we don't want, and people don't want that. I don't know why. I mean, but, um, but yeah, that's why it's difficult to actually go. Which his wife gave birth 2 days ago. Congrats, Austin. Genuinely, congrats. I hope it is a healthy child, boy or girl, non-binary, whatever. Um, Jaren is the best fourth candidate to go. I actually agree with that. As I've stated, Jaren is the one who seems to be the most active in attempting to do experiments. Now, I know Dan, the Waterman, has been associated with people who have done long distance observing. So in that way, he is associated with people who have also done experiments, but I don't know if he's still in contact with them, and I also don't know who they are. Would have thought that after 5.5 months of caring for a newborn, he would be welcome to a chance to go trip for a few days. Yeah, yeah, I would probably I would agree with that, but I don't know what their support network is like. Obviously you're not going to get just a babysitter to look after an infant. You're going to want to, the only people you're probably going to trust with that responsibility is family, and I don't know what their family situation is like. So to me, that's a genuine concern, a genuine excuse or reason for not going, is that you have an infant that you need to take care of, because you may not be able to have someone else take care of it while you are away. And I would be less impressed if he left and let his wife deal with the newborn. That's kind of a douchey thing to do. So, because I don't know how long this trip is. I think it's weeks, but I could be very, very wrong. For almost 90,000, one can make a ski trip to the South Pole. Interesting. I don't got that kind of money, but yeah, as I've said in other streams, I know of a dude who ran a marathon in Antarctica. He has run. I don't know if he's managed to do it in Africa. One of his things on his bucket list was to run a marathon on every single continent, and he has done it on every continent except Africa, because he didn't state this, but I think he's afraid to, because Kenyans and Ethiopians really good at running marathons. So I don't know, but yeah, he's fucking run a marathon in Antarctica, which okay. I don't like running that much, and I sure shit wouldn't want to run in that kind of cold. But more power to him. Um, so yeah. So I think it's reasonable to assume that if you don't want to go down there, if you don't want to accept Duffy's offer, then yeah, I think it's natural to assume it's because you don't want to know. You don't actually want to know the truth behind it. Not stating that's the reason. I'm just stating that it's a natural. Uh, I think that is a natural assumption for people to make. And so, if that is not the case, then again, you will have to come up with reasons for why. And I think Flatzoid's reason is very similar to kind of his reason or his explanation for why for not looking into who's perpetuating lie is that it doesn't matter. Basically, to him, it's settled. I think he has said that it's basically a settled thing. The Earth is flat, so why would I want to go to Antarctica? I already know it's flat. I don't need the potential evidence there, which I think again is an example of not seeking truth. You're always someone who wants the truth. A good scientist is always going to be open to new experiments to gain data, even if you believe that data is going to definitively support what you already know, because there's that chance it might not. Anyone offering anything for free is sus. The whole experiment reeks. Maddie, why do you say that? I don't know. To a certain extent, I can see your point. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Although, like I said, I was an undergraduate at University of Florida, and there were Christianists, and they gave out free lunches. Too much sour cream, but and for me to say that, yeah, I loves me some sour cream. Way too much sour cream. They gave morning Roke. Everyone should listen to Roke. Makes awesome music. If you want to, well, I don't think you don't have the ability to plug your own channel, but yeah, Roke makes beautiful music. So yeah, man, I agree with you. Yeah, and I know I've heard the argument that it isn't actually an experiment. I don't know why that is a point of contention. Who cares what we call it? It's an observation of a 24-hour sun, which cannot be reconciled on current flat Earth models, whatever it happens to be. If your model is a flat plane that where Antarctica is an ice wall surrounding it, there is no way that a 24-hour sun is possible. So, experiment or no, it is something that will, it is solid evidence in support of one hypothesis or the other. So, yeah, I haven't looked into it, so I don't know who Will Duffy is, other than that he's a pastor. Apparently he does believe the Earth is a globe, but he may be a young Earth creationist. I don't know. So Lindsay Harris's model, is that the one that Toon looked into last night? The Oops guy? Yeah, okay. Like I said, I do know that there are those who are trying to bend over backwards to try to explain why or how, to explain that a 24-hour sun is in fact consistent with a flat Earth model. Okay. Um, but, you know, it would be nice to see it. I know it would be nice to see it for me. I've been trying to justify what other experiments they could do down there while they're down there, and I really haven't come up with any, although I really haven't actually sat down and looked into it. Oh, oops, is Nigel Cheese, not Lindsay Harris? Okay. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if Nigel Cheese also comes up with his um, own idea. So, yeah, the Cavendish experiment was an experiment. Again, it doesn't invalidate the results. I don't find that sort of thing to be overly compelling. Something is an experiment, although again, I vehemently disagree with the notion that a experiment must have a single independent and dependent variable. It and that that shows a causality relationship. Uh, no, no, that's not how science works. Science, you have to look into how many variables there are, how many variables you can control, how many variables you want to vary, and why. You also have to look into whether or not changing certain variables are correlated with one another. It is a far more complex problem than what certain folks who will remain nameless seem to be dogmatically rigid about. So, Oakley is now saying the final experiment is a fallacy. If the Earth is a sphere, then a 24-hour sun will be seen. If a 24-hour sun is seen, therefore the Earth is a sphere. Fallacy. What? Let me read that again. If the Earth, I'll put that up. If the Earth is a sphere, then a 24-hour sun will be seen, assuming that's the PQ, whatever it is. A 24-hour sun is seen, therefore the Earth is a sphere. Okay, I think I see where he's going with that. He claims that's a fallacy because the first statement is not valid, that the natural consequence of a spherical Earth is a 24-hour sun. Well, what are we talking about? This is Nathan Oakley we're talking about. Yeah, I, mm, mm. He doesn't think that astronomy is actually science, so I'm not going to trust his opinion on logic or rhetoric. All right. As for Witsit, the whole fallacy tactic is just a tactic to win. Yes, Meraki, as I kind of stated before, Witsit isn't interested in the truth. He's interested in winning. He's interested in using anything that he can to break the other argument, to show that the other side is wrong, in however he can do it. That's not how science works, and that's not in what I think is that is not truth seeking. That to me smells of an agenda. Is that you want to destroy something so that you can ultimately replace it with something else that you're not talking about, that you're not focusing on. This idea of, which, this is the idea of negative evidence, is if your tactic is to seek truth through the invalidation of what is accepted, rather than the replacement of what is accepted by something that is better, I question your methodology. So, yeah, he has to preserve his fragile ego. I haven't looked into this. Apparently, he had a recent discussion with QE. I did see, or did kind of look into one of his other discussions with QE, and wow. I just, his inability to stand up for himself to QE was just remarkable. Considering how combative he is with pretty much everybody else, the fact that he couldn't really hold his own with QE and really was, how can I put this politely? It seemed to me that he was showing his neck to QE. It kind of seemed like, kind of alpha male sort of behavior, in that Witsit was sort of just, how would you put that? Kind of like acknowledging, yes, you are the alpha. He was equivocating. He wasn't Austin, and I was just utterly shocked by it. And I don't know whether or not that has continued with this second debate or not. But that's just beside the point. We have gone about an hour and 40 minutes. And so I think that is, it's kind of a wilting flower. Yeah. I don't understand that, Austin. If you were to watch this, groveling, yeah, that would, I think, would be an accurate description. Austin, if you watch this or somehow get wind of this, I would love to have a conversation with you as to why it is that you cannot seem to hold your own against QE. QE's a bully. That's all he is. He's just a asshole bully. He has nothing intelligent to say. And yeah, he's one of those few people that I will not engage with. Even if I'm in a conversation with him, which again, I put a snippet of a conversation that I had with him on my channel. I didn't engage with him. I laughed at him because he's, yeah, he's absurd. He doesn't have, like I said, he doesn't have anything valuable to contribute to a conversation. He just name calls, and he does it poorly. He's repetitive, and it's really just kind of sad and juvenile. But yeah, PQ becoming true does not mean that QB is true, affirming the consequence. I'm not a big logic person, although, I'm sure that'll get cut or commented on. The structure of logic, that's not something that's ever interested me. So I know of the modus or whatever, I know that word, but I don't really look into it. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is QE won't let Witsit say more than 3 words, which again is not typical Austin, because typically he can overspeak his opponent. It's almost as if he actually does fear QE for some reason, which I just don't understand. But anyway, yeah, it's basically, I've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. For those of you who came late, you might want to check out the first part of this video, which might explain why my pronouns today are capitalized, because the reason why I had this stream is because of a comment yet again questioning or stating that I deny science because I accept that there are more than 2 genders. And I got pretty heated. So if you like me swearing, then yeah, that'll be a treat. And then I talked about science skepticism and, well, rather truth seeking. So anyway, a good day to all of you, and all of the love, Roisin. And so I am Professor Parks, PhD. I make content on astronomy, science skepticism, and mental health. If you like that sort of thing, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications, because I am a chaotic son of a bitch, and random comments can make me go live really early in the morning or at very random times. So if you're interested in hearing what I have to say on a variety of different subjects related to those three topics, yeah, hit that notification bell. If you would like to support what we do here at the observatory, please consider becoming a patron of mine or just donating straight through PayPal. As I said, right now we are currently in the middle of a summer camp for 8 to 15-year-olds where we basically the theme of the camp is a journey to the moon of Titan, where they go to the moon, they design a rocket, they launch to the moon, they go to Mars, and so forth and so on. That costs a lot more than I anticipated. I didn't realize the overhead on summer camps. So if you'd like to support us here at the observatory, what we're doing, please consider, like I said, being a patron of mine or sending me money through PayPal with the explicit statement that this is for the observatory. If you'd like to support me financially, put money into my grubby little hands so that I could potentially turn this into a second career, I'm actually thinking of getting, so GMU actually offers a certificate in science communication. And so who knows? I am actively looking into getting into that program, probably for the spring, maybe for the fall. Who knows? I need more information. But if you'd like to help me make this more of a second career, then yeah, please consider becoming a channel member or sending me money through PayPal with the explicit knowledge, this is for you, this is for your grubby little paws. It was nice to see you in the chat as well. If you ever do a stream, I would let me know. I think I have the notifications for you, but for your channel, but I haven't seen anything. Anyway, so yeah, that's my plug for money. I do have a Discord. I don't know if the link is active. Please join that if you'd like to do that. And again, any science skeptics or flat earthers out there or what have you, if you would like to have a conversation about the whys and hows of the whys and hows of not believing conventional science and why it is in fact a global conspiracy, or how it is a global conspiracy and all that, really would love to talk to you in a serious conversation, because I'm very curious as to why anyone would have those beliefs. All right, with that, I am going to sign off. As always, peace out, clear skies.